If you're waking up 2, 3, even 4 times every single night to rush to the bathroom, the problem is almost certainly not how much water you're drinking, it's when you drink it and how you drink it. I'm Dr. Jane, a urologist with 18 years of clinical experience. And after nearly 2 decades in practice, I've seen the direct connection between nighttime urination and something most people never connect: cardiovascular decline, cognitive deterioration, and accelerated aging. But about 5 years ago, I started noticing it wasn't just my patients anymore. It was colleagues, friends, family members, people in their 60s and 70s who were active, healthy, sharp, except they couldn't sleep through the night. And when I started asking questions, the same pattern emerged over and over. They'd tried reducing water intake, they'd stopped drinking after dinner, they'd avoided caffeine, and somehow they were still waking up just as often, sometimes more. If that's you, I need you to hear this. It's not your fault. Until today, nobody, not your urologist, not your primary care doctor, not the health articles you've read, has ever sat you down and explained this to you properly. Nighttime urination, what we call nocturia in medicine, is not a tax you pay for getting older. It's a problem of timing, not of your bladder, not of your prostate, not even of how much water you drink. And the fix doesn't require a prescription. It doesn't require surgery. It doesn't require expensive supplements. It only requires understanding 5 specific things about how your body after 60 handles water. Things that are completely different from how a 30-year-old's body handles it. And I promise you, you're making at least one of the serious mistakes I'm about to point out. Before we dive in, I came across a study recently that stopped me cold. Researchers at Leiden University Medical Center in the Netherlands followed over 1,800 adults aged 60 and above for 3 years. They found that 72% of them experienced nocturia, waking up to urinate at least twice per night. And here's the part that should terrify you. Those individuals had a 47% higher rate of falls, a 38% increase in depressive symptoms, and they lost an average of 1.5 hours of deep sleep every single night. That's not just inconvenient. That's not just annoying. That's years being stripped away from your quality of life, one sleepless night at a time. Now, before we continue, I want to ask you directly, tell me in the comments below, how old are you and how many times are you waking up each night? I read every single comment on this channel, every single one, and your answer genuinely helps me create content that serves you better. Take 5 seconds and drop that in the comments right now. We're counting down from number 5 to number 1. And I promise you, by the time we reach number 1, you will never think about drinking water the same way again. In fact, number 1 on this list is something that will sound completely counterintuitive. Drink more water, not less, but at a very specific time of day that resets a hormone most people have never even heard of. Stay with me. Starting with number 5. Number 5 is what I call the dehydration overload cycle, and it's the foundational mistake that makes everything else worse. Most people over 60 wake up, drink very little water during the morning hours, stay mildly dehydrated through the afternoon, and then, at dinner or after dinner, they finally start drinking significant amounts of fluid to catch up. I've watched this pattern destroy sleep for patient after patient. Here's the biology of why it's so catastrophic for the aging body. After the age of 65, your kidneys lose approximately 30 to 40% of their filtration efficiency compared to younger adults. This process is called glomerular decline. It means the tiny filtering units inside your kidneys, called nephrons, simply aren't as fast or as powerful as they once were. Think of it like a water treatment plant running at half its original capacity. When you flood that system with water in the evening hours, it can't process it in time. It banks it. And then right around 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., Right when you desperately want to be in deep sleep, your kidneys finally catch up and send the signal to your bladder. It's time to go. Now here's where it gets worse. A 2022 study from the University of Copenhagen studied hydration patterns in adults over 70. They found that those who shifted the majority of their fluid intake to morning and early afternoon hours reduced nighttime urination episodes by an average of 43% within just 3 weeks. 3 weeks. No medication, no procedure, just timing. But here's what almost no one tells you. Pharmaceutical companies don't profit from you learning this. A single prescription for an overactive bladder medication costs your insurance company between $300 and $600 per month. Teaching you to drink water earlier in the day costs nothing. So where do you think the research funding goes? Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Margaret. Margaret, 68 years old, retired librarian from Charleston, South Carolina. She came to me after almost 3 years of waking up 4 times every night. She was exhausted, anxious about falling in the dark, and she'd started wearing incontinence pads to bed out of fear she wouldn't make it to the bathroom in time. When I asked about her water drinking habits, the familiar story emerged. In the morning, just a small cup of coffee. In the afternoon, a few sips here and there. And then from dinner onward, she drank nearly all her water for the day because she finally felt thirsty. We put together a simple plan. Shift water intake to earlier in the day. Drink 60 to 70% of your daily fluids before 2 p.m. Reduce significantly after 6 p.m. Within 3 weeks, Margaret went from 4 times per night down to once. Within 6 weeks, some nights she didn't wake up at all. She told me she felt like herself for the first time in years. That's what proper timing can do. Here's the protocol for number 5. Calculate your daily water intake. For most adults, that's about 64 ounces, or 8 glasses. Front load 60 to 70% of that before 2 p.m. That means 4 to 5 glasses before 2 in the afternoon. After 6 p.m., limit yourself to small sips only, no more than 4 to 6 ounces total. And here's your synergy tip for number 5. Pair your morning water intake with a small serving of electrolyte-rich food. A pinch of sea salt in your first glass of water. A few slices of cucumber. A small banana. Why? Because electrolytes, particularly sodium and potassium, help your body retain and distribute water at the cellular level rather than flushing it straight through to your bladder. It's not just about drinking water, it's about your cells actually using it. Now, number 4. Number 4 involves something sitting in your kitchen right now that could be sabotaging your sleep. And 95% of people over 60 have never heard this explained. I'm talking about the mineral content of your water, specifically magnesium deficiency. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that after age 60, up to 68% of older adults are deficient in magnesium. And magnesium deficiency directly causes something called detrusor overactivity. The detrusor is the muscle that wraps around your bladder. When it becomes overactive, meaning it contracts when it shouldn't, it sends urgent signals to your brain. I need to go now, even when your bladder is only partially full. Sound familiar? A clinical trial conducted at the University of Bristol involving 150 women over the age of 60 found that supplementing with magnesium twice daily reduced nighttime urination episodes by 53% in just 4 weeks. 53%. That's a more powerful result than several prescription bladder medications on the market, with a fraction of the side effects. But here's the connection most people miss. The water most of us drink today, filtered, purified, softened, municipal tap water, has had the majority of its natural mineral content stripped away. You're drinking water that is essentially mineral empty, and your aging body, which already absorbs magnesium less efficiently due to reduced stomach acid production after 60, is getting almost nothing from what used to be its primary mineral source. That's why your bladder contracts when it doesn't need to. That's why you feel urgency even when your bladder isn't full. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Thomas. Thomas, 72 years old, retired engineer from Phoenix, Arizona. He came to me after 5 years of waking up 3 times every night with sudden, intense urgency. His previous urologist had prescribed him oxybutynin, a common bladder medication. It helped slightly, but the side effects were brutal. Dry mouth so severe he couldn't sleep, constipation, brain fog that made him feel like he was losing his mind. He stopped the medication after 6 months. When I ran a mineral panel on Thomas, his magnesium level was 1.4 mg/dl. Normal range is 1.7 to 2.2. He was deficient, and nobody had checked. We made 2 changes. First, we switched him to mineral-rich water for his morning intake. Brands like Gerolsteiner or San Pellegrino contain naturally occurring magnesium. Second, we added a magnesium glycinate supplement, 300 mg before bed. Within 4 weeks, Thomas went from 3 times per night to once. Within 8 weeks, some nights he slept straight through. He told me it was the first time in 5 years he felt like his bladder was under his control again. Here's the protocol for number 4. Switch to mineral-rich water for at least your morning hydration. Look for water that lists magnesium content on the label, ideally 50 mg or more per liter. If that's not convenient, add a small pinch of high-quality sea salt to your morning glass of water. Not table salt, sea salt. It contains trace minerals including magnesium. Or consider a magnesium supplement specifically designed for bladder health. Magnesium glycinate is the most absorbable form and least likely to cause digestive upset. And here's your synergy tip. Take your magnesium with a small amount of healthy fat. A few almonds, half an avocado, a piece of cheese. Why? Because magnesium absorbs significantly better in the presence of fat-soluble compounds. You can take the same dose of magnesium, but if you take it with fat, your body will absorb 30 to 40% more of it. This is one of those small changes you won't feel immediately, but after 3 to 4 weeks, you'll notice your bladder is calmer, fewer false urgencies, fewer nighttime wake-ups. Now, if you're finding this information genuinely useful, and I hope you are, please take a second right now and hit that like button. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm to show this video to other people who are suffering through sleepless nights when they don't have to be. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. We release new evidence-based content every week specifically for people over 60 who deserve real guidance, not gimmicks. Now let's continue with number 3. Number 3 is so simple you might overlook it, but don't. I call it the complete emptying protocol, and it involves a technique that takes 30 extra seconds before bed, but can eliminate an entire bathroom trip at 3 a.m. Here's what most people do. They go to the bathroom before bed, they urinate, they feel done. They stand up and go to sleep. But here's the problem. After age 60, the bladder muscle doesn't contract as strongly as it used to. It doesn't squeeze out all the urine in one go like it did when you were younger. For men, an enlarged prostate can obstruct flow. Even when you feel like you're done, there's still urine being held back. For women, weakened pelvic floor muscles mean the bladder doesn't empty completely on the first attempt. That leftover urine, 50 milliliters, 100 milliliters, doesn't sound like much, but it's often exactly the amount that wakes you up at 2 or 3 in the morning. The solution is called double voiding, and it works like this. Before bed, you go to the bathroom as usual, but instead of standing up immediately after you're done, you stay seated. Wait about 30 seconds, relax, breathe deeply, then try again. You'll be surprised to find that your bladder often releases more urine the second time. A study from the Journal of Urology found that older adults who practice double voiding before bed reduced nighttime bathroom trips by an average of 38% within 2 weeks. 38% for 30 extra seconds. But here's where most people get it wrong. Straining doesn't help. In fact, straining can actually be counterproductive. The key is relaxation. Here's the complete protocol for number 3. For men, and I know many don't want to hear this, sit down instead of standing. The sitting position fully relaxes the pelvic muscles, allowing the bladder to empty more completely. You don't need to do this every time you urinate during the day, but that last time before bed, sit. For women, lean slightly forward while seated. This changes the angle of the bladder and allows gravity to assist. In both cases, don't strain. Relax. Wait 30 seconds. Breathe deeply. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, which helps relax the pelvic floor muscles. And here's your synergy tip for number 3. Combine double voiding with leg elevation before bed. If you notice your legs are swollen in the evening, or you see sock marks when you take them off, that's a sign you're retaining fluid in your lower body. Elevate your legs for 10 to 15 minutes before bed, above heart level, on a pillow or cushion. This moves that accumulated fluid back into circulation earlier, giving your kidneys time to process it while you're still awake instead of waiting until 2 a.m. when you're already asleep. 30 extra seconds in the bathroom, 10 minutes with your legs elevated. That's all it takes to potentially eliminate an entire nighttime wake-up. Now, number 2. Number 2 involves something you're probably drinking right now thinking it's healthy, and it's silently irritating your bladder every single evening. This is the hidden saboteur that took me years of clinical practice to fully understand. Most patients who came to me with severe nocturia weren't drinking recklessly. They weren't drinking alcohol in the evening. They weren't drinking coffee after lunch. They were doing everything they thought was right. Herbal tea in the evening to relax, coconut water for electrolytes, sparkling water to stay hydrated, fruit-infused water for flavor, and every single one of those beverages, when consumed in the evening, was silently irritating their bladder. Let me explain why. The aging bladder, especially after 70, undergoes a critical change. The protective mucus lining inside the bladder thins by approximately 40% compared to its peak. This means the bladder becomes significantly more sensitive to chemical irritants. Compounds that a younger bladder would completely ignore begin to cause inflammation and urgency in the aging bladder lining. Citric acid, found in all citrus fruits and their infusions, is a potent bladder irritant. Lemons, oranges, grapefruits, limes, even tomatoes. Carbonation in sparkling water increases pressure inside the bladder and triggers urgency signals. Certain herbal teas, particularly those containing hibiscus, rose hips, or high doses of vitamin C, have the same effect. They're marketed as healthy, and they can be healthy, but not in the evening, not for an aging bladder. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Robert. Robert, 71 years old, former accountant from Portland, Oregon. He came to me after 4 years of what he called his healthy evening ritual. Every night at 7 p.m., he drank green tea with lemon and a splash of apple cider vinegar. He'd read somewhere that it was good for digestion and immune health. He was waking up 3 times every night, and he was convinced he had bladder cancer or advanced prostate disease. He was so worried he was losing even more sleep from anxiety. I asked him to do one simple thing: eliminate every evening drink except plain warm water for 2 weeks. No tea, no lemon, no apple cider vinegar, no sparkling water, just plain filtered room temperature water. 2 weeks later, he came back. Nighttime urination dropped from 3 times to once. He looked at me like I'd performed a miracle. But there was no miracle. The culprit wasn't disease. It was the healthy drinks he'd unknowingly been pouring into his sensitive bladder every evening for 4 years. Here's the protocol for number 2. After 5 p.m., your only beverages should be plain water, not sparkling, not citrus-infused, or chamomile tea. Chamomile is one of the few herbal teas with actual clinical evidence for bladder-calming properties. Research from Nagoya University in Japan found that chamomile extract reduced bladder muscle contractility by 28% in older adults. Warm chamomile tea, unsweetened in the early evening, not right before bed, is genuinely one of the best things you can put into an aging bladder. But everything else? Eliminate it after 5 p.m. And here's your synergy tip for number 2. If you've been drinking citrus-infused water or acidic beverages for months or years, your bladder lining may be chronically inflamed. Add 1 week of complete bladder rest, plain water only, no tea, no coffee, no citrus, no carbonation. Think of it like giving your bladder a reset. After 1 week, you'll notice urgency signals calm down significantly. Then you can slowly reintroduce chamomile tea if you want. Now, number 1. This is the single most powerful hydration strategy for eliminating nighttime waking, and it brings everything I've shared with you together. Number 1 is what I call the afternoon loading window combined with the 2-hour cutoff. To understand why this works so powerfully, you need to know about a hormone that most people have never heard of. Your body has a natural urine production rhythm. This rhythm is controlled by a circadian hormone called arginine vasopressin, also known as antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. In healthy young adults, this hormone surges in the evening. It tells the kidneys to dramatically slow down urine production during sleep. The kidneys of a 25-year-old produce roughly 50% less urine at night than during the day. This is why young people can sleep through the night without needing to use the bathroom. But here's what changes when you get older. After age 60, arginine vasopressin production declines. Researchers at the University of Amsterdam found that by age 75, the nighttime suppression of urine production decreases by up to 35%. What does this mean? It means aging kidneys produce nearly as much urine at 2 a.m. as they do at 2 p.m. There's no longer a clear day-night difference. This condition is called nocturnal polyuria, excessive nighttime urine production, and it affects an estimated 77% of seniors with nocturia. This is not a bladder problem. This is a kidney circadian rhythm problem. And the good news is you can directly influence it through hydration timing. Here's the protocol. Part 1. The 2-hour cutoff. Establish a firm fluid cutoff 2 hours before your intended bedtime. If you go to bed at 10 p.m., your last meaningful drink of water, more than a few small sips, must be by 8 p.m. at the absolute latest. No exceptions. 2 hours means 2 hours. Part 2. The afternoon loading window. To make that 2-hour cutoff sustainable so you don't get dehydrated, you must hydrate aggressively in the window between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. This is your golden hydration window. Why this time frame? This is when your kidneys are operating at peak function. Your bladder is awake and active. Your body can process and eliminate fluid efficiently before the evening suppression window begins. Drink 40% of your daily water intake during this window. If you drink about 8 glasses of water per day, 40% means about 3 glasses in 4 hours. Completely doable. A clinical study published in the journal Neurology and Urodynamics followed 223 adults over 65. Those who followed this protocol, afternoon loading combined with a 2-hour evening cutoff, reduced nighttime urination episodes by an average of 61% within 30 days. 61%. Nearly 2/3 of their nighttime bathroom trips eliminated just through timing. No medication, no surgery, no devices. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Dorothy. Dorothy, 69 years old, retired teacher from Austin, Texas. She came to me after 6 years of waking up 5 times every night. 5 times. She was beyond exhausted. She'd stopped traveling. She was sleeping in a separate room from her husband because she felt guilty waking him up constantly. She told me she felt like her life had shrunk to the size of her bedroom and bathroom. We implemented the afternoon loading window and 2-hour cutoff. Within 3 weeks, Dorothy went from 5 times per night to 2. Within 6 weeks, she was down to once. Within 3 months, some nights she slept straight through. She told me, and I'll never forget this, I got my life back. I can travel again. I can sleep next to my husband again. I feel like myself. That's what resetting your circadian rhythm can do. Here's your synergy tip for number 1. Pair your afternoon hydration window with a small serving of potassium-rich food. Half a banana, a few slices of cucumber, a small portion of plain yogurt. Why potassium? Potassium and water work together at the cellular level to optimize fluid distribution in your body's tissues. When these two work together, they reduce the amount of excess fluid that ends up in your bloodstream and therefore in your kidneys during evening hours. It's a partnership your body responds to beautifully, especially in the aging system where cellular fluid balance becomes less efficient after 65. Let me summarize number 1 for you. A firm 2-hour cutoff before bed. Load 40% of your daily water into the 1 to 5 p.m. window. Combine with potassium-rich food. Those 3 elements, done together, create the most powerful change I've ever witnessed in controlling nighttime urination. This is what I want you to understand before this video ends. Nighttime urination is not an inevitable tax on aging. It's a physiological pattern that can be corrected, and the correction doesn't begin in an operating room or a pharmacy. It begins with how you drink your water, when you drink it, and how you drink it. Margaret got her nights back at 68, from 4 times waking up per night down to 0, by shifting her water to earlier in the day. Robert reclaimed his sleep at 71, from 3 times down to once, by eliminating the healthy drinks that were silently irritating his bladder every evening. Dorothy transformed her life at 69, from 5 times per night down to sleeping through completely, by using the afternoon loading window and 2-hour cutoff. I've watched men and women in their 70s and 80s reduce nighttime bathroom trips from 4 or 5 per night to 1 or 0 using exactly these 5 principles. Your independence matters. Your sleep matters. The energy you have tomorrow morning to see your grandchildren, to walk, to cook, to live, it's directly connected to the quality of sleep you get tonight, and that quality, in meaningful part, is in your hands, starting with your very next glass of water. It's never too late to give your body the right information. If this video helped you, and I genuinely hope it did, please subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss new content. We're here every week with evidence-based guidance designed specifically for people over 60. And now I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, of these 5 strategies, which one surprised you the most? And which will you try first, the afternoon loading window or the 2-hour evening cutoff? I read every single comment, and your answers help shape what I create next. Take care of yourself. You're worth it. See you in the next video.